I am my biggest fan. I look at myself and I can't help but fall in love again and again. And again, I don't like the word fall. I like to say, I rise up again and again with love myself. I am absolutely, unconditionally, deeply, madly in love for the person I am. And when you're so filled up, you can give it to the world.
This is episode number 74 of The Inspiring Talk with Amandeep Thind. Welcome guys to The Inspiring Talk. My name is Vijay Gautam. I'm host for this show. Each week I interview today's most successful and inspiring personalities to help you realize your inner potential. On previous episode of the show, we went deeper into identifying and replacing your limiting thoughts and emotions with more empowering ones. Now, on this episode, I would like to take you deeper into the journey of self-love. Before we talk about self-love, it is important to talk about self-doubt. We all feel it to some extent. Be it the feeling that we cannot achieve that big goal, or we are not worthy of love. We all have them. Some of us take that self-doubt and hatred to the extent where we feel that we are no longer wanted in this universe. My guest today, Amandeep Thind, lived with that feeling for over 2 decades. And at one point of time, that feeling of I am of no use to this universe was so intense that he almost took his life. From that place to today, where Amandeep not only has accomplished a lot, but also is absolutely in love with himself. This is the story worth listening to if you'd like to accept yourself and fall in love with who you already are. Now, Amandeep is one of the lead trainers for Tony Robbins preview events. He travels across the continents to speak and inspire people. He is also a founder of a company called Emerging Brilliance, where he helps people discover brilliance within themselves. He is creator of a powerful training model called Mind Empowering Technology, MET as he calls it. I invited Aman on this show to talk about how he was able to turn the self-hatred he had for himself for so long in his life into self-love. And because of that, he was able to not only do incredible things for himself, but also inspire people around him. Before we dive in, make sure that you subscribe to this podcast if you haven't done already, so that you won't miss some of the most amazing conversations that I have on this show. If you are already subscribed, it would mean a lot to me if you could leave your honest review for the show. Now, let's dive in. Guys, I'm here sitting with Amandeep Thind. Aman, thank you so much. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me. I feel, grateful to be in this space with you right now.
So how is Delhi treating you with all the bad quality here? We have kind of adapted to this, but how about you?
Well, Delhi has been always one of my favorite city, because this is where I started my career in 2000. I've lived in Delhi for 6 years. Yeah, having said that, there's a little challenge today with the rain coming out and the odd even number going on because of the pollution. Mm-hmm. Having said that, I think Delhi has got a lot of resistance power and it will get through it, as in the past it has got through everything.
It's crazy that, people wouldn't even bother about wearing the mask. I think I'm probably the only guy who was wearing mask on the metro today, and I'm like, am I from the different planet or?
Well, I'm not. I'm that one of that Delhi heights in the past. I would not wear a mask.
Yeah, yeah. So when I was just trying to recollect, what was my probably first interaction, or not interaction, or how I came across Amandeep, and probably it is one of the autos, right, with the picture saying that Amandeep Thind, Tony Robbins of India. And then I started following you. I think it's almost a year back, and kind of started following you and your work. And you have been doing phenomenally well. And when I got to know about your story, and I was deeply moved, and I'm like, I need to get Aman on the show because his story is very, very powerful, and there is a very powerful, strong message for a lot of listeners out there. So thanks again for making this time out. So I think the good place to start this conversation is by talking about your background. Where do you come from, and what was your childhood like, and what did your parents do? So take us back to Calcutta and talk about the early days of your life.
Well, now I feel, that I was very blessed to be born and brought up in Calcutta. It's also known as the City of Joy because there's a movie based on that. I grew up in the outskirts of Calcutta. We have an airport in Calcutta. I believe it was called Dum Dum Airport. I don't know if it has been changed now because some people say it is Netaji Subhash Chandra Airport. And obviously, a lot has changed, since I grew up, in Calcutta. So yeah, me, my parents, and my sister, we all used to live in a one-room house. My parents, they're illiterate. They can't read and write. My father would drive an ambassador taxi to fetch a living. And then my mom, was and is still a full-time housewife. So growing up in a one-room house in Calcutta, we had a lot of financial difficulties. I mean, I share this, sometimes that there were days in my life when, the chappal pant, the slipper, if it breaks, right, you cannot buy a new one. I think it was something around 18 rupees or something, or 15 rupees, I don't remember. But if you repair it, it just takes a rupee or two. So I'd rather repair it and wear it for 3 months rather than buying a new one. All the clothes I would get, would be secondhand from the neighbors. It was only Durga Puja when I would get a new pair of clothes. So Durga Puja is still very special in my heart.
Yeah.
These were my parents' challenges. I really want to mean that because as a kid, I did not have all these concerns of, money and all that stuff. We had food on the floor. We had a one-room house my father was renting.
Food on the floor.
Yeah, because we would eat on the floor. There was no furniture inside the room. We had a gadda. Rolling mattress, roll it out and then roll it back in.
Yeah.
And as a kitchen, we had a shed, in front of the room. And I still remember, taking shower for many years in the local swimming pool, which is not a swimming pool. It's called pukur in Bengali. I won't take a shower now because those green water is not going to do any good to my skin. But this is, what my life was about, right?
Yeah.
And my challenges, I think, were different as a kid. I was fat as a child. So I became the target of being laughed and teased around by my peer group. And to add to my worries, the biggest challenge, I'm talking about, late 70s. I'm born 77. A lot of things have changed in India, but I think still, people can probably relate to this. I'm a mixed child. My father is Punjabi, very fair in complexion. My mom is Bengali, dark in complexion. And, I'm a fusion of North and East. So I grew up with the understanding that I'm not pure enough as a human being. Lot number of people said, ki Punjabi dikhte nahi ho, Punjabi lagte nahi ho.
And then that feeling came from your friends or people around you who kept telling you that you don't look like one of us.
Yes. We had two different groups of kids who would play. It just naturally happens. There was a kind of a Bengali dominated group.
Yeah.
They would discard me and say, go and play with your brothers on the other side. And then when I went to the non-Bengali group or kind of a Punjabi dominated group, they may allow me because my name says I'm one of them, but they will keep discriminating, and passing comments like you're darker, you're fat, you're one of them, you're not one of us, So yeah, I think the acceptance, what a huge problem was. And I had an identity crisis, thinking that there is something wrong with me as a human being. I should be more pure than what I am. I'm a mixed, impure human being. So that's where I started, my journey.
And I think that feeling that you're talking about, right? I do not belong, or is there anything wrong with me? And that is fueled sometimes by parents as well. They also tell their kids like, you or we as a family, we can't, for example, do certain things, or we can't afford certain things, or we cannot dream big. And I have been told a lot of times by my own parents, like, we cannot dream such big things. That's for the rich people or accomplished people. How can you even dream of that, right? And then those are some of the things that parents tell, and eventually people start believing that. But having that kind of belief that, am I worthy enough? And this is something that I was talking to Shidra as well. The feeling of I'm not enough is so prominent in a lot of kids, and even I meet a lot of older people who are going through that feeling, and they have been living it for I don't know how many years in their life, right? And you have been through the same situation where you were feeling that. So I would like to talk about how now you look at those in a while. But before that, I want to understand from you now, when you had that feeling as a kid, what are the struggles that you were kind of trying to navigate through as that kid? How old were you when all this was happening?
Well, as far as my memory goes, I can recollect things from, let's say, 7, 8 years being old. I also remember, being shifted from a government school to a private English medium school when I was 8.5, during my third standard, because my parents figured out, that the next generation like to be better.
Yeah.
Their kids needs to get educated, just not in a normal local Hindi medium school, but English medium school. And I'm sure you understand, and most Asian people listening would know, why we want to send our kids to English medium school.
True.
But obviously, when they looked at the earning and saving, they did not have enough money to send both of us. And they took some help, they took some loan and support from others. And I was chosen, to go to English medium school because I was 3 years younger. And the biggest reason, I'm sure you understand, it's a male-dominated society. So I'm not proud of what happened, but I'm glad it happened. And coming back to what you shared, I think I go deeper with this about the conditioning of parents,
True.
culture, religion, society, friends, everything. We get boxed up. So yeah, my father thought if I can do a graduation, because he did not study, and if I can take up a job for 30,000 rupees, I will be the most successful person on planet Earth. And I believed in it for many, probably 25, almost to the late 20s of my life, until things started shifting for me.
I can totally relate to that, because till early 20s in my own life, I have kind of lived that, because we come from a remote village, and the most successful person for the village is my uncle, who has been to US for his masters, and then now he's settled in US.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was the dream that I wanted to chase. Like, I want to be like my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a huge thing. He's the only guy from, I don't know how many villages to go to US. And like, that's a standard that's set for you. And probably my parents saw that is probably the most successful thing that we can probably do in our life. And that was the dream that I was being sold. And I was kind of believing that, this is something that I want to do in my life as well. I want to go to US. And I have shared this a couple of times on social media, but not on the podcast. Probably the first time that I'm talking about this. Like, even when I was doing working on my company, taking on my first job, I had like this huge pressure from my parents to go and study in US for my masters. Mm-hmm. And then I have taken TOEFL, and I was preparing for GRE, and then that's when and all of that I was doing just because of the pressure from my parents. By that time, I didn't want to go to US anymore, because I wanted to follow different path, because I figured out that the path my uncle followed was not something that I want to follow, and that's not going to make me happy. And then there was this huge tussle between me and my dad to trying to follow my dream, and I had no idea what I want to do. And that's when I said, okay, I want to start a podcast. What are you talking about? You are saying that you want to start a podcast rather than going to US and like settling down. And I told them, all I need is 1 year. Give me 1 year. If I can make something out of this, fine. Otherwise, I'll leave in your terms. And that's how the whole journey for me started, right? And then that's, I think, is with a lot of listeners or the people who are listening to this podcast, where the conditioning and the dreams that your parents probably have seen and think that this is our limit, and the limit that's set, and a lot of people live with that limit, right?
I call it an invisible prison. We go into this invisible prison. It's portable. Wherever we go, we carry it with us. And, then we see our dreams are not happening, because they're outside the box. Maybe an app you want to create, maybe, a podcast you want to run. Maybe, you want to do a great furniture business and create some amazing furniture for the world. Or you can, I don't know, you want to go to these Himalayas and create a resort or whatever that is. Because we get limited, because of the conditioning we go through. And the challenge, is that if we haven't realized, we always are surrounded with mentors in our life. And our first mentors, in most cases, were our parents.
True.
And in few cases, it could be uncle, auntie, nanny, granny, who brought us up. But our parents, they gave us unconditional love. Otherwise, we'll probably burn our hand or, fall through the roof and break our head. But at the same time, unknowingly, they gave us their limitations. So what happens, we project our fear on our kids. And
True.
That's what happened for you. That's what happened for me, and my father. at times couldn't figure out, that what the hell I'm doing, with the whole the speaking thing.
True.
Because there have been days in my life, I did not have money to even pay the rent and buy, groceries from the shop. So he was like, you're graduated, you speak English. Other kids, or let's say other boys or girls in your age, in late 20s or early 30s, they're doing pretty decent. Why the hell and what the hell are you doing? I mean, I don't know what you're really after, because he didn't understand all speaking, motivation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But he knew that I'm probably becoming a lecturer or something and at a different level. So he's like, or maybe my parents, both my mom and dad, like, "Bhai, kya kar rahe ho? Like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Get a job, get the income coming in steady every month, and have a comfortable life. I mean, where are you going with this?"
True.
Yeah. So it has happened, for people. And I think it's only that, you have to persevere, like you or me, like Sidra. You mentioned about Sidra. For those of you who don't know, she's a lovely, great friend and a wonderful, healer and trainer and speaker.
Go back and check the episode 73.
73. Yeah. Do check the episode. She is amazing. She's gifted. So coming back, she's got a Pakistani background. Origin is from there. We have challenged the odds, which were against us, and then moved forward to be at the place where we are today. Like people say, Amandeep, you're very lucky, man. You travel across the globe. You live in best of the hotels. You take a couple of holidays in a year. Most days you wake up and spend time with your wife and daughter, because you don't have to take the tube, which is we say in London, and be grumpy, in the morning.
Yeah.
Having said that, did it come in one go or one day or a couple of months? No, it was a work, for many years of investing, seeding, getting better, and moving to the next level step by step.
Yeah. So we'll get into the journey and try to break that down for people so that they can kind of understand the journey of a kid in Calcutta and whose parents were struggling to send him to English medium school to now traveling across the world. But now coming back to the thing that we're discussing about feeling that I do not belong to this group, right? And then you lived with that feeling for probably almost a decade.
Oh, I would say 2 decades minimum. Yeah.
2 decades.
Almost 2 decades, yeah.
So what are the kind of things that you are doing to kind of cope up with those feelings during those 2 decades that, that you had that feeling I do not belong, or is there something wrong with me? So that I want to, bring a contrast to people listening to this, like what are the kind of things that we do? And also there is, you kind of try to almost take your own life because that feeling was so intense for you at one point of time. So could you share like what are the different things that you're trying to do as a way to cope up with that feeling at that point of time?
Well, maybe I haven't shared this, when you think that nobody understands you, or that you're not the one, who belongs, probably you're the odd one, among the group and the whole bunch there. I think you want to find a place to hide. You want the whole world to collapse and you to perish somewhere. There have been many days in my life, when I have cried, like literally cried for hours and hours, and all these stupid, childhood things. If you drink your tears, it gives you some soothness inside. The pain may go lessen up and all that stuff. From there, when I was 16, we did not have a choice, maybe, but my father relocated from Calcutta to a very remote village in Punjab. A lot of people don't know about a district called Sangrur in Punjab. So we always say, we are kind of near Ludhiana, which is almost 50 kilometers. But I went to a very remote village when I was 16 years old. So, from getting laughed and teased at when I went to Punjab with these old macho guys who probably spoke a very kind of a rough language, the Tate Punjabi language, and they were into farmings. They were a bit more physically stronger than me, maybe a little bit more height, a bit more macho, what do we call it, So they made me feel and look like a complete stranger, I remember, to combat that feeling that I want them to accept me, I did stupid things like, I started growing my beards. I started wearing a turban to say, hey, I'm one of you. I'm sure, the listeners who are listening can relate to this thing where they have done things, in their life, which is not them, but they did it for the sake of getting accepted by the people around them. I was in the same space, and all these voice which was given to me over a period of 16 years that you're a thick, dull, dumb boy, good for nothing. You cannot make a difference to your life, to your parents' life. Nobody wants you, man, here. You're just a weight, you're a piece of shit on this planet Earth. It became my voice. And I thought, what? There is no point living. there's no point being on this planet Earth because I think nobody wants me, nobody loves me, and I'm not enough, to as a human being to do anything in my life. And I watched some Bollywood movies at my neighbor's house when I was in Calcutta. I remember, those Sundays evening when the movies would come out. And I thought the easiest way to commit a suicide is to cut my nerve, in the middle of the night with a blade. And when they wake up in the morning, I'll be gone, I'll be history. There won't be a big scene, and that will be the end of all my pain, all my misery, all my why question to God. But obviously, I couldn't get the strength to do that. I mildly attempted for it. And within a few days, I got, again, it can be called karma, or it can be called luck, or it can be called, your openness to things to change. When you cry out loud, so loud, the universe conspires, for you to get there. So I got a letter dropped, from a company. It came from Amway. I don't know till this day how they got my name and address. I've got no idea. But thank God to all that marketing strategies, whatever it was, that I got that letter. I was invited for a Amway talk in Jalandhar. I traveled 120 kilometers from a village, and I went to, attend Amway's meeting with hope, that something might change, because I saw probably light at the end of the tunnel. I thought, somebody may be able to help me a little bit here. And I saw Dr. Bratch, presenting on stage at that time. And from there, I got introduced to personal development. I read Think and Grow Rich and How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And my whole world opened up to possibilities. Yeah.
So that's the beginning of your transformation, or at least you trying to understand that my life is of meaning. I can probably turn from this feeling that I have, I'm a piece of shit, I can do nothing in my life, to I can make impact in the world.
Yes, definitely, that meeting, Amway meeting, and that book opened up my possibilities of becoming something, being somebody, discovering myself, and thinking, that I'm worthy. I'm worthy of love. I can make changes. It doesn't matter what my skin color is, what my height is, what language I speak, where I come from. It doesn't matter. It is within me for me to change my life. And so, I have not stopped reading, learning, growing since that day. I still go back to training rooms and sit down as a student to learn from my mentors, because I believe, I think, that gave me this belief or this thought that things can be changed. Yeah. Definitely.
Amandeep, now I think almost at his 40s now, from that, 7 to 17 or 27, when you were living with all that fear of how or what people might be saying and how can I fit among these people. And today being unapologetically you, who you are. I don't give a damn about what you think about me, or I don't need to fit. And I think you often feel that because you are still not in India. Now you live in UK and you are not one of those again. But I'm sure you might have kind of figured out a way living through or going through that phase in your life on how one can become unapologetically yourself, which is a very top thing to do, by the way. So how can one get started, or is there a way or something that you have learned along the way on how one can accept them the way they are rather than trying to become someone else?
It's a beautiful question, you have asked. And I want the listeners to understand, obviously, things will start from you. There will be some cry out loud thing inside going on. Or there's a voice, which would suggest or say or recommend that you got to change a few things. You cannot be doing the same thing and getting the same results. So coming back, I did a program with a guy called Tony Robbins. He's the world's leading seminar promoting, he's the leading motivational speaker in the world. And during that program, on the third day, I did a process with him. And during that process, I think, he helped me fall in unconditional love for the person I am. And I think I get a beautiful example, by looking at my daughter. And you're right, actually, I'm 41, I'm in my 40s right now, early 40s. So my daughter, she is 21 months old. Her name is Muskan. And I realized, that no matter where she is, no matter what she is wearing, she is beautifully, comfortably herself. She has got no judgments about how she is looking, how she's dressed up. She's always smiling, laughing, doing her own stuff. And this is what we were to begin with, I think the whole thing, of not being pure enough or not fitting into the world, not belonging here, may have started for me when I was around 7 or 8. That's where I have the glimpses of it happening. Before that, I was very comfortable being myself. And that's the toughest part you said, for you to become yourself. Yes, I am unapologetic for being who I am. I'm absolutely, comfortable in being the person I am. I think there's a process I did, with Tony. Maybe that's where it started, where I realized, that don't have to hold on to the weight, which I was carrying for many years. I just have to let go of the weight of not being pure enough and be myself, If I am planning to make the whole world happy, I'm on a wrong journey. I would never be able to make everybody happy on this planet Earth because it's beyond my human limitations to do that. So coming back, I think there's a process we do, at Discover Your Brilliance, one of the 3 days program we do. And again, it's not mine. I keep telling, I put all the flowers together to make my own bouquet. There's a beautiful lady, who does this process. She's no more in the world. It's like, you can take a mirror and in the real sense, if you can look into the mirror and look at the person who you see on the mirror is the one you got to love the most. Vijay, you can't beat me, when it comes to being my fan. I am my biggest fan. I look at myself and I can't help but fall in love again and again. And again, I don't like the word fall. I like to say, I rise up again and again with love myself. I am absolutely, unconditionally, deeply, madly in love for the person I am. And when you're so filled up, you can give it to the world. So coming back, you can look at this mirror. Some of my students, keep sending me these messages saying, thank you for giving me that mirror. It's a small piece of mirror I give them during the program. They take it back with them, with the reminders. It says, I like myself. I love myself. I'm proud of myself. Thank you for being me. So these are the lines, you can keep repeating in the real sense. They could be just mere words if you don't put any energy and love into it, or they can become the biggest gift you can ever give when you are going along with the word, with your energy and emotion, and you look at yourself and you say, I like myself. I love myself. Thank you for being me. I'm proud of you. So that's one of the techniques, I've been using for many years to send myself love. Or you can even do it without the mirror, because all human beings got to understand that we are beautifully designed in the way we are. Even for twin brothers and twin sisters, their journey is not same, even from the same family, same home. They have different interests, different passion, different aspirations to go for. So we cannot copy somebody and say, as you said, my uncle is the guy who went to US and became the most successful person as per the village. I got to do the same. Nobody's journey is same. It could be similar, but it's never the same. No weather forecast is the real weather. No deep designed detailed map can give you the real territory. You have to get into the map, find your own territory and explore the map to figure out what your life and, your experiences would be. So coming back, that's the trick I can give, look at a mirror and say, I love myself.
One of the highlights of what you have shared about this technique of looking at the mirror is putting on the energy and emotion on that. Unless you feel that from within, that you truly love yourself and you appreciate for the person that you are, probably just saying those words out loud might not help you.
Yeah, that's where you start. And, if you graduate to the higher levels, you may not even need the words, You will look at the mirror and you cannot help keep smiling at yourself because you see, that 8-year-old Amandeep or 10-year-old BJ or, 12-year-old Tony or 15-year-old Sidra, who had dreams and aspirations. And you were beautiful in the way you were, you were designed by the source, wherever we came from. Like it's the same source, we we've been cut from the same source. It's just different texture with the same cloth, So when God designed you, He had a beautiful plan, for you, or whoever the person is, her, him, doesn't matter. And now you start judging yourself because you picked up a lot of voices, a lot of programming from the people around you. They told you maybe there's something that's not wrong. Your nose, your skin color, maybe your height, maybe your weight, the way you speak. I don't know. There are so many things people can tell you what is not correct in you. But if you focus on things which are not in your favor, it'll expand, it'll become bigger in your life. But if you say, I've got a great voice, or I've got a great smile, or maybe, in the way my hairs are, they're amazing. If you start focusing on the beauty that God has given you, it will expand. I think, every human being is beautiful in the way they are. Yeah. Provided we accept that. And when we accept that, we become more graceful. We have a presence and people think, you're very charismatic, you're very inspiring, you're very energetic. I think it's all about being yourself.
Beautiful. So now coming back to your journey, and then you graduated and you went to UK. And again, I think your uncle was in UK.
Yes, when you were sharing, I was thinking, oh wow, okay, it's little similar here, because because of my father's side, right, from my village, it's a huge success if you can go to any Western world like Australia, UK, US, and you can have a living there. You've been recognized as one of the successful person. It is kind of fading away a little bit right now. Which is good for the society because Punjab has this huge culture of sending people to abroad.
Canada,
yeah, which is changing, which is slightly changing, which is good for the world, and for especially Punjab. So coming back, because one of my uncles served in the British Army, he went to the UK, early 60s, late 50s, I think. And there was a big plan for me to go too because my father couldn't make it because he's the youngest among the brothers because he'd never studied. It was too late, for him to go there. So they had a dream, for me to make that dream fulfilled. And having said that, I think London has given me a lot of great opportunities. But when it was my time to go, I couldn't have gone, without the help my cousin gave me. So my cousin had been a great support, because I think we resonate at a different level. He's a guy who likes to do great things for people. So he gave me a scholarship, to come and study in the UK. So in 2006, I went to UK, I went to London for the first time, and I crack a joke, I went on a Christmas day. So if you're looking for cheap international flights,
that's the time.
Yeah, because I had to pay for my own flight ticket, I couldn't be rude enough to ask my cousins, that can you already paid my college fees, £5,000. Can you pay for my flight as well? I was doing a call center job.
Yeah.
I was earning like 20,000-ish rupees a month. And I have to be creative, to get my own flight ticket. And I remember I flew with £150 in my pocket. And I never asked a single penny, from my cousin for anything. And a lot of my peer group students, they were very scared. They all came with like a couple of thousand, 2,000 minimum, 2,000, 1,500 pounds to look after their living, on a regular basis. And they had supply coming in maybe every few months if they were in need. I knew that, the only help I have got is me, in this situation. Worst case, I would ask my cousin, but I went with an intention that I'm not going to ask for any single penny, out of except for what he's already done. So yeah, that's how, my London dream came true. I went to a place called Newcastle for studies. Yeah, and there's a whole interesting story, how I landed on a marketing campaign for a free book of Tony Robbins, and then I went on to do Tony's event.
And one of the things that when I was looking at your journey and was trying to study a bit about you, one thing that I have, I'm quite impressed with your journey, and it is that you were spending a lot in your self-education. And that was not because you had enough money to spend on your education. Okay, now my basic needs are fulfilled. Okay, let me explore something. Let's go to Tony Robbins workshop. No, that was not the case. You were struggling. You were like picking all these odd jobs, which you may want to talk in a while. And then, but still you were attending these events after events of personal transformation, which talks a lot about the mindset, which a lot of people do not have. Where does that mindset come from?
I think, I'm still decoding, that part of me. I think maybe it's a little bit of my mom inside me. She is open to learning. I have seen that. And I think this is one of the uncle, I had when I used to visit my nani's home, I still remember taking 2 buses, changing them and going to my nani's place. There was an uncle, we used to call her Gana Mama. I'm sure you understand the term Gana Mama. His nickname was Gana.
Yeah.
And we used to call him Mama because he was my mama's friend, Mm-hmm. And he used to tell these amazing stories, to us where probably there were some seeds of growth, learning. I think these are the 2 things, I can decode on a worldly level where it comes from. So when I got introduced to the book, I went on to the whole journey of reading, writing, and doing programs. And again, I did a program with a local trainer here in Delhi many years back, called, he used to run a company called Rebirth, Rajesh Agarwal, a motivational speaker. I almost lost my job. I was in a call center in PCL on Mathura Road. Mm-hmm. But I still went on with my gut feeling. And I remember, I even fall short of money, but because of the people I met in that group, there's a guy called Rajiv Nair, he's a chartered accountant. Mm-hmm. He gave me loan without even asking for it.
Yeah.
So the universe opened up great possibilities for me. I went to Stephen Covey's 7 Habits, of Highly Effective People in Gurgaon with 22 delegates. And there were only 2 people, who came on their own expense, own investment. The rest were all delegates from corporate. Me, and there was a guy called Manjot, he's a corporate trainer. So when I went to UK, I kept that, openness to learning. I kept that alive inside me. I never let it die. And even till this, I'm open to learning. So I was looking, for a part-time job on Gumtree. There's a website called Gumtree, and where the classified for jobs are, there was a picture of Tony flashing up, and it said, a free book from Tony Robbins. I'm sure you won't take me wrong here because we love free stuff. So I clicked,
Yeah.
Yeah, I already had one book of Tony before that recommended by somebody, here in Delhi, which I read, Awaken the Giant Within. And then I was curious, that I would like to know more about this guy. Tony kind of already became a virtual teacher for me. So they posted me a book, and after a few days, I got a call from their office, and they said, why don't you come and attend a live event with the man himself? And I knew the value of it, and I knew it can change my life. And then, I also knew that I'm still looking for a part-time job, like proper job. I couldn't get a job, for the first few weeks because they speak in a typical accent, which is called the Geordie accent in Newcastle. Now, if you go to different parts of the UK, they have their own unique accent. Like Scottish people have Scottish accent, Irish people have Irish accent. So Geordie accent is quite different than what we have known, and heard. Like in Queen English, we call it, like neutral accent.
Yeah.
My accent was pretty decent because of my call center background. They helped me improve it because I remember, just a very simple example. My trainer, my voice and accent trainer, Meghna Bedi, worked on me. And she locked me one day in a room because I couldn't say license. My license used to be license. Because it's Punjab, right? I came from Punjab, so it's not Canada, it's Canada. It's not America, it's America. So my license was not coming out, and she said, Sardar, till the time you don't pronounce its license, you're not coming out of that room. So I was stuck there for a few hours before I got it right. So coming back, my accent was pretty okay in terms of neutral, but I couldn't pick up the Geordie accent, so I would keep the phone down. Seriously, I was so horrified, let's say, or so stressed up, or so nervous. I was thinking, did I really learn English? I probably have to improve my English a bit more. So all I could get, is first I couldn't get a job.
Yeah.
And I was against that. I would ask my cousin, even for a single penny, to provide for my living. I knew that I have to really make it on my own. Except for the fee he has paid, I have to take care of myself. So the rent, the groceries would need to come out from my own pocket. So all I could get, is factory jobs where you put these, like there's a big Tesco factory there. You have to take these, rollers. These are like, you lift those platers up, the wooden platers. You bring them to one section. You segregate. This is going to, let's say, Yorkshire. This is going to Glasgow. This is going to, those are labor kind of jobs, and it's pretty heavy on you. There are occasions, I would just hide for a few moments to breathe because I've not done much labor, back like home here in India. I was doing a call center job. So couldn't get a job in the first few weeks. Whatever I could get was a labor job or security job. You stand in front of a Tesco in the middle of the night, that's shift which nobody wants to take, but you're a new immigrant, so you will take that shift. Like it starts 10 in the night, probably finishes, 4 a.m. in the morning, and they pay you basic wages. So coming back, to your question, that's where I was, So I knew that if I carried on doing this, it's not going to help me out. And there are few things in me which can be improved and changed, as per the new environment. So when that opportunity came and the guy said, why don't you come and attend Tony's live event? I knew, that going to that event will give me the skills which I'm lacking right now. It will give me the confidence, which I'm lacking in this country. I have to reinvent again, to a certain level. Because in my call center career, I was doing pretty decent. I became a process manager. That's the level I reached. People started respecting me. I had a name, in my call center career. It was Arthur Ashford. So people knew me, as Arthur. A lot of people will say, if you want to get a great manager, get Arthur. He's pretty good with his team. So coming back, when the guy said, okay, it's £600, and I was like, oh, hang on. Sorry, did you say £600? And he said, yeah. And I told him, see, I'm a student. I'm a new immigrant in the country. I haven't really got a proper job. I want to come. You tell me how I can make this happen. I really want to come. I want to see him live. And I can pay, but I cannot pay right now. So he understood my situation. He's a student. He probably sensed my, my genuine voice. He said, okay, let me do something for you. I'll give you a payment plan. That's the best I can do, So I paid £120 per week. Yeah. I was making maybe 200-ish pounds, as a part-time job. And I paid over 5 weeks. I still have those statements, which I showed during my training.
Yeah.
And I went to Tony's event, in 2007, in July. There were 11,000 people, in a hall together. I mean, I've done Stephen Covey here
Yeah.
with 22 people. I've done Art of Living with Rajesh. I've done a couple of other trainings with like maximum 100 people.
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen, 11,000 people from maybe 20 different countries come
Yeah.
together. And, there, I did not feel any difference. They treated me as equal.
Yeah.
I was never like, oh, I'm an Indian. Do I really speak proper English? At times, I couldn't understand what people were saying. They had different accent from different, wherever they came from. They hugged me. They kissed me. They lifted me up. And I said, wow, something like this exists on planet Earth.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of breakthroughs, going to Tony's program. And I sometimes reflect back and I think, what, Amandeep, you were playing on margins.
Mm-hmm.
I had thoughts to say, let's postpone this because this is really getting tough.
Yeah.
If I did not do Tony, UPW in 2007,
Yeah.
would my life would be like this at this stage? I don't think so. No. Probably it would be different than what I am right now. I think, investing in yourself is the biggest gift you can give yourself. Even now, just a few months back, I did a program called FIT, Fire Instructor Training, with Toli Burgan's organization. Toli Burgan is the guy who taught Tony to do firework 40 years back. He doesn't train anymore because he's 87. His lead trainers, Steve and Kevin teaches that. So I was, in that room a few months back to do firework in the right way. And that's why, now I can bring firework to my students. I've seen it many times,
True.
but I'm not fully equipped, like 100% to run it for my students. So I had to go through the proper official training.
Yeah.
And that's the reason, this Saturday, I'm doing a firework with my students, at my event at Success Mastery. So learning, and growing has been one of the best gifts God has given me. And I'm still decoding completely, but I think maybe it's a bit of my mom, a bit of my uncle, and a bit of my situation of life, And the more results I got, the better I became in learning.
Yeah. And I think it also has got to do with the mindset. And a lot of people see their learning or the investment that they make on learning as an expense, not as investment on the future.
True.
And how you truly said about the example of fire training, right? You went there, you invested on it. Now you are teaching it to other people. And yeah, you want to say something?
Yeah,
right?
see, I'll tell you honestly, okay? I paid £1,500 for FIT. I was taken back, with that program. I couldn't believe that this program is £1,500 because I have done trainings, where I have paid £11,000. I can name it. I don't mind, making the stage. I paid £11,000. It's a great program, let's say, in its own rights. But these guys are charging £1,500 for a firework instructor training where they teach you everything from arrow breaking to board breaking to walking on the glass, you name it, okay? Then I did a program in Lucknow for a multi-level marketing company. They're in Kangen Water. The amount they paid me for that program, for a day program, and I did the arrow breaking with them at the end, it paid off my investment in one go.
Yeah.
In one go. Can you believe it? And everything I'm going to reap after this, this is my first firework for my, this Success Mastery.
Yeah.
I'm going places with this. There's already a lot of buzz I can sense and feel,
True.
with the way people are approaching and looking at my program, with me bringing firework.
Yeah.
I can only see this getting better. And the money is there. See, we are very smart people, Vijay, right? We're all smart people. We know how to invest. If you can put something, let's say ₹1,00,000 somewhere, and you can double it in 12 months or 18 months time or 2 years time, most people would say, you know what, I'm going for it.
True. But that's not the case with learning. And I think that's the kind of mindset shift a lot of people needs to understand because, yeah.
And this is the minimum I'm talking about.
True.
Like if doubling your income or let's say investment in
I've
1
seen
year.
10x with the events that I have attended
I
myself.
have made
yeah.
100, maybe
Yeah.
1,000 times at times when I have, like I did a program with Joel Bauer almost 2 years back. He changed my closing rate. People don't understand closing rate. It's called like platform selling. When you sell from stage,
Yeah.
you've got an audience in front of you and you want to bring them somewhere, to an advanced level program or a call to action at the end. And you don't know how to do that. It's an art, it can be learned. It's a skill. It's transferable. It's learnable. So I went to the best. I went to my teachers, when I realized that I've learned from my teachers. They were great, but now I need to go to the next level. I did Joel's program. I went to London. I did a preview. Veronica Tan, who's the owner of Success Resources,
Yeah.
she was in the room. They were gifted a room, by some company, some hotel. Say, you know what, you've used us many times. We'll gift you a hall for a few hours. Just use it complimentary. They put an event last minute. They got like 200 people in the room. I closed 20% of the room, and everybody was like, you have changed,
Yeah.
what was that? We have never seen you present that. I was doing pretty decent before that, like 10,
Yeah.
12%. But after that Joel's program, like in one go, I
Yeah.
made the $5,000 I invested with him and more in one go, like in 3 hours. Can you imagine, the investment can reap so much of benefits if we understand that it will take us to that level. I'm sorry, I get passionate about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I still see a lot of Indians. See, I'm an Indian too.
Yeah.
And I tell that to my team. There are a bunch of people like you and me who are crazy, who are aspiring, who are passionate. If you want to go to the next level, right? And if you can find a person who can help you to give you, those skills or take you to the next level, then you must invest because you are a
100%.
Smart investor.
True.
You're investing whatever, let's say $700 or $1,000 with you for running podcasts. They can make minimum double.
Yeah.
And you can just keep multiplying after
that. Absolutely. Let's not understand it the wrong way, because I also meet a lot of people who keep hopping from events to events to events.
Sorry, we call them seminar junkies.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they keep going to events after events, but there is no action. So what also people needs to understand while we are talking that, investing on your self-development or your education is important, but execution is equally important.
Yeah, and I also want to say, stop hopping from free events to free events to free events. See, if somebody is giving you a complimentary event, they cannot run it forever on charity. Either they have a different kind of background or a back-end product which helps them, in the long run, which doesn't mean that they're selling a course to you straight away, but they do some other business which is getting promoted indirectly through them speaking in front of you free of charge. Or if you keep going to these teasers, you're not getting the depth.
Absolutely.
With the trainer. If you want to make somebody a mentor or teacher, you got to spend some close proximity time with them. Tony says, proximity is power. It is. If you spend, let's say, 3-4 days with me, I take you deeper. I'm giving you my life's work, in 3-4 days. That's worth millions.
Absolutely.
On a worldly level, we say, what? I know I can't charge millions because I spend maybe 100,000 pounds minimum in training fee, apart from the flights, the stay, and all the income I had to let go of because I could have made that on those dates. That's, makes it 200,000 pounds plus. And you want all that in 3-4 days, and you're not willing to pay, let's say, worst case, I don't know, 50,000 rupees or 1 lakh rupees. You're not able to see the value. That's your challenge, my friend. It's not my challenge, because if you invest, in my understanding, with the right mentors, you can reap a lot of results, and you have to go deeper. Doesn't matter who you resonate with, find somebody and say, what? I resonate with this guy, I or this lady, whatever she's sharing with me, she's empowering me to take my life to the next level. So I'm going to go and, follow her and go deeper, with her to the next level.
And that's another important point, finding mentors. And when I ask a lot of people on this podcast saying, what are the 3 things that you regret the most? And the most common answers that I get from people is, I wish I had my mentor early in my life so that I could have saved all of that time, resource, and energy rather than trying to figure out the things myself. Because if someone is out there who have already walked down that path, then why not just, take their help, and so that they can take you from A to B. Sure, you can figure out the way from A to B yourself, but you probably might take 5 years, which your mentor can help you do it in maybe 12 months.
Yeah,
right?
They can see first, for most people, they won't be able to figure out. That's for sure. Okay. Because they have been thinking that for the last 15, 20 years, and then yet not being able to figure out. I'm sorry, but people like to live in denial. If you are in denial, God bless you. Okay. You can show the people everything is okay on the surface level, but you are effed up inside, where you are all alone on a beach on Spain. You take a great picture with your smile, you put it out on Facebook, and you go into your room and you cry because there's nobody in your life. Okay. So most people, they won't be able to figure out. They think and hope that they will. For some of them, as you said, they may be able to figure out, but it might take you 5, 7, 10 years to figure out. Why do so much of hard work when you have a mentor who can cut short your journey by, let's say, at least a couple of years, and probably give you better results? Then why would you not go with that person? Because we want quick success.
True.
It's not overnight.
Yeah.
You have to put the work, you have to make the moves. It might take a couple of months to maybe maximum 2-3 years, but that's what a mentor would do, And then, people say, see, your mentors would also evolve. You can't be doing with one mentor. Virat, right, had a mentor called, I think, Rajan Sharma when he started.
Yeah.
I think you can probably now list 10 coaches he's got over a period of, let's say, his career of 14, 15 years. They're all his mentors. You cannot say, you know what, Rajan was not his mentor. He was at that level when he was probably 14, 15.
True.
Now he's got other mentors, right? So you will have different mentors as you go along on this journey, and they will be taking you to the next level.
Yeah. The whole idea is just to get to another level and find someone else who can take you to whole new level.
Yeah, and I wish, sometimes that I met some of my mentors before than what I met them.
Absolutely.
Because I know what they could have done with me.
Yeah.
But again, coming back, we are from the eastern part of the world. We understand karma.
Yeah.
We have to have acceptance, and things happen for the right time and for the right reason at the right time.
Share with us about how sitting on that chair of UPW along with 11,000 other people to now doing previews for Tony's event. So walk us through that journey, how the whole thing shaped up for you, how you became part of Tony's training team.
I think, we all have heard about law of attraction. People may have read the book or seen the movie, The Secret, and it really plays a part, in your life. I think, there's one of the dialogues of Shah Rukh Khan's, I don't know, you can help me with this, कि मैंने इतने शिद्दत से चाहत की है कि पूरे कायनात ने उसे मुझसे मिलाने की साजिश की है.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty much close, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what one of my dreams, was in the past, to become a great Bollywood star. Yeah, and then the wrong mentors came, and I started shrinking. Yeah. So I did UPW, and then I went on to this whole journey of researching how to become a great speaker and trainer. What are the best courses on planet Earth, which has got great reviews, great student, results, and they can help you go to the next level. So on that journey, I started going into trainings, one after another. I was pretty intense, I would say, in the first few years. So I did coaching academy, and I did, life coaching from Cambridge University. I did NLP, I did EFT, and I did hypnosis. And I crafted, myself to be at that level. And then in 2009, I did a youth program in Chandigarh with that trainer friend I met at Stephen Covey, Manjot. Mm-hmm. In 2011, I put a public event with another trainer friend. For the 30 people came. Out of that 30, almost like 23 people were our own people. They knew us from like this community of training. Just came to help and support, So I joined Success Resources. I'll be honest, I was really going through a bad phase. I was this coach who was helping people at my own level, at my own rights, but I didn't have money to pay for the rent. I was a broke coach. I'm sure, you may have seen some of them, and maybe we also go through that journey,
Yeah.
If you are there, it's not a problem. But if you stay there forever, that's really your problem, because you're not working to go to the next level to learn the business side of it. So in 2012, I joined Success Resources. I still remember it was 5th of February when I really had to join, and nobody knew my reality that I needed them badly than what they thought. They thought I'm coming as a favor to support them.
Yeah.
Because they've seen me accruing and I could do different roles. I had a great energy and I was a people person. I could interact, I could close because I've done call center closing. And they saw, this is a great asset for the company. So they requested me literally, would you be okay, like in a soft tone, to join and help us?
Yeah.
And I'm like thinking inside, you don't know, I need really badly need that salary end of the month, because I've already got 3 months to rent to pay. If I go over another month, they'll throw me out of this house.
Yeah.
So the moment I joined, we had a couple of previews. Very quickly, previews are like Tony's teasers. Mm-hmm. It's called UPW Preview Workshop. It is a couple of hours. We teach about Tony's teachings in our own style. And then at the end, we promote his main event, UPW. So Richard Tan, who is the owner of Success Resources, was doing 2 sessions. The format has been that for many years it was 2 sessions, but now we're changing. We're doing only 1 session because it just works better. So one is morning session and one is like a late afternoon session, 3 to 6. So I went as a part of the staff, newly joined staff, obviously have a lot of experience as a client and as a crew member. So we went to Glasgow, we did 2 sessions. I introduced Richard because I had, public speaking skills. I've done 1 workshop before this with 30 people. So they knew that I can handle, audience. So I introduced him and then we came to London. So the next weekend, it was probably the second Saturday of February, we were doing 2 sessions in London. And Richard Tan had some last minute change, like last minute, like few hours, like the night before, he had to reach Singapore for a different meeting, which is much more important than doing a preview. So the priorities change now.
Yeah.
So now they're ringing up, all these different trainers, and asking them, can you come and run this preview for us? Because Richard has to leave by afternoon, lunchtime after doing first session, worst case. They're first looking for 2 sessions, if somebody can come and take over the whole day. Worst case, somebody can come by lunchtime to do the second session so that he can go to Heathrow and take his flight to Singapore to be there early morning to meet somebody influential for a big event, which has got massive thousands of people coming in. Now, for most trainers, it's their dream to go up on Success Resources stage and say, I have been a lead trainer, even for once maybe, for Success Resources, because it's the world's leading seminar promoting company. I'm sure,
True.
you're aware of it. But the Western world people have diary, most of them.
Yeah.
They're not like Asians, last minute. So they have things booked up.
Yeah.
And maybe many of them are not already in the city, whoever they called up. Probably they're in Spain. They are having a holiday with their family in Scotland somewhere. Or worst case, they already have some lined up programs for themselves, like a webinar or training.
Yeah.
They can't come. They're like, we would love to come. This is like dream coming true. Yeah. But we cannot cancel that event or this family commitment, and they want to say sorry, because they don't want to keep the chances alive for future, but they cannot, even if they want to,
Yeah.
So now there's a situation like there is no trainer, and then there's a lady, I'm very grateful to her. Her name is Nicky Chang. She was the manager, for the UK office for a few years. And she knew that Amandeep has done one workshop and he's pretty much passionate about speaking. And that's the only reason he's joined Success Resources. I was very clear that I'm joining the office because I want to learn the whole, the behind scenes of doing events.
Yeah.
Because I want to do my own events one day.
True.
So they looked at me and they said, Amandeep, why don't you do the second session? We heard you can speak. You did one program. And we will help you, support you, we'll give you a bit of a guidance and slides. And why don't you step up and run the program? And because of my mentoring and coaching from the past, because I have seen my mentors go through that kind of situations where they were all of a sudden picked up and they said yes. So the obvious answer came out because of my conditioning. I said, of course, yes. With
Bring
the voice,
it
with the voice inside going me, Amandeep, what the hell are you going to do?
Yeah.
What are you going to speak on? Because you've never done UPW preview. You've done one event called Attitude to Gratitude.
Yeah.
And that was all from notes and a lot of support and 23 people in the room. You knew them already.
Yeah.
They were just looking at you and they're familiar faces and they're there to support you. But because of all the mentoring and coaching, I said yes. And within a few hours of whatever, guidance they gave us, they told me to follow a system, a process, which I couldn't follow because, when you're not yourself, you struggle.
True.
And then I was struggling in the first 15, 20 minutes. I still remember my legs pretty much were shaking. And, to make it worse, Veronica was in the room. Rich and Tan introduced me and left the room because he had a flight to catch. I still remember he couldn't pronounce my name correctly. He said, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Amandeep. Amandeep.
Yeah.
He speaks in a Singaporean accent, right?
Yeah.
So he left. Veronica's in the room. My legs are shaking. I want to get some water, and the whole water falls over. It fills the table, and people can see through that this guy is not the right guy who's supposed to speak.
Yeah.
Maybe they have something going on here. And then a voice came inside me, probably, I don't know, it's God's voice or whatever you call it, I said, you know what? It can't get worse than this. I said, you know what? Inside me, F it. I'm going to do it my style. Because this is not working out. This is not me. I'm not Richard Tan. I cannot follow his slides. I will do my bits, Then I went on to be myself. And from there, the situation changed. Maybe a couple of people left, By the time they figured out this is not valuable. But some stayed back, most of them. They gave me the opportunity. I came with my passion. I shared my story. I went in with all the learnings I had, which has helped me. The 3 hours program finished within 1 hour, 40 minutes.
Ooh.
Because I did not know how to fill up, massage, all that, repeat, high fives. I just kept speaking. And at the end, when the sales came, because maybe naturally who I am, my energy went a bit higher.
Yeah.
And we closed, pretty much 10% of the room. We got 12 sales with 130 people. And Veronica said, you know what? You were pretty good with the time you were given. And especially when you did the sales, something happened. Your energy really went up. If you can do this on a short notice, we believe that you can do better if we give you more time. And that's how I started, on the platform of Tony. Never looked back. They used to give me all the slots which other trainers may not be able to fill in, smaller group. And then time came, other trainers had problem because they said, who this guy is, man, this new kid in the block. He's taking all our previews away because they started giving me more previews. They said, give all the important previews to Amandeep.
Yeah.
Whatever is left out is for the other trainers. So the other trainers thought,
Yeah.
who this guy is. He used to introduce us. Now he's leading it. Having said that, I kept on working on my craft, and it just
Yeah.
got better and better and better.
It reminds me of two things. One is what Richard Branson said. When there is some opportunity coming your way, and if you don't know what the hell am I going to do about it, just say yes and figure it out later. Exactly.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what you have done, and which is a great message there. And another incident, that was playing in my head when you were sharing the whole story about the trainer dropping off, was the story of Les Brown. How Les Brown got his breakthrough was pretty much of that. He was trying to fill as a radio jockey, or the story that he shared a lot of times. So I think there's a powerful message out there for people to be open for the opportunities and just say yes and bring it on.
Yeah, again, there's a lot of stories we can share, to show people that there has been a really work which has gone into, in the behind the scenes. Clinton Swain, we spoke about it. He's my mentor. He taught me speaking on stage. He had a
Mm-hmm.
visa situation because the American came into UK with the wrong visa, let's say. So he was sent back from the immigration. And the first person he called up, I was a staff, just a crew member supporting him on that Play to Win program. And he said, what, Amandeep, I believe in you. I think you can run the program, as a trainer. Do you think you can do it? Because of his belief in me. And I said, of course, yes. So I was running Play to Win alongside another 3 trainers, 3 days program, And I was the only trainer out of the 4 trainers who got a standing ovation on the 3rd day doing a chunk, which is about beliefs.
Wow.
So that's another story, where you have to step up because you're a crew member supporting, and all of a sudden now that you are leading it as a trainer. So when the opportunities comes, grab them and then figure out how you're going to make it happen.
Super. So taking forward on the on the stage, now you have spoken across the globe on a lot of stage with a lot of audience on it. So take us behind the scene, or maybe share with us some of the rituals that you follow before you jump on the stage. What are some of those things that you do on the backstage to make sure that your legs are not shaking, or maybe that water glass is not spilling over your table?
Well, for many years, I followed Tony's technique of getting into peak state, which is jumping up and down, and I would pump my, my chest to, get the adrenaline rushing through me. Having said that, I think I have crossed past that stage now. Stage is no more a challenge. It's like a second home for me. I love being on stage. But there are still few rituals I do. And again, this is not a religious belief. It's just that I have my own discoveries. I obviously, write things in capital, and I write the mantra, which I believe personally that is the most strongest vibrations you can come across. So I write in capital, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And then I write I love myself, and I write that I am the best in the world. And I obviously ask for guidance from the angel or Krishna or Allah or Vaheguru. And I tell them, make me a reason and flow through me to inspire the people in the room. So these are some of the talks I do with myself. I write down a few things. I tap into music, my own music. I play bhangra, So if anybody listens to my music, I'm about to go up on Tony's stage in Brussels, or I'm in, Bucharest, or, I'm in Berlin somewhere. And it's playing, Diljit Dosanjh is playing, in my in my phone,
There you go.
So yeah, I'm feeling good about going up on stage, and maybe I'm telling myself, I'm better than Tony Robbins, something on those lines.
Yeah.
And then when they announce my name, I just run, and I know that I'm here for a reason, and I was destined to be here and spend my time with these guys. So these are thoughts, running through my mind. I'm just saying, what, I will leave them better than what I have found them today. And then whether they're coming to the Tony's event doesn't matter, anymore. It's just all about touching them in a special way that when they go home, it triggers their thoughts to make some changes in their life. That's all I'm thinking about. These are the rituals I have. Apart from that, I do Vipassana, so before I come to the main hall, I meditate. I do Sabka Mangal. I listen to Goenka Ji's recording, which is about sending blessings to everything, because we're all connected to trees, to planet Earth, to the room which is holding me, to the suit which I'm wearing. It's all holding me, to my shoes, to my heart, lungs, everything. So yeah, these are some hoo-ha stuff for people listening, but that's what I do. Meditate, send love to everything, receive love, and go into the room and get more present by writing in capitals, listen to some great music, and go up on the stage. But the only objective is to focus on the people in front of me and give them love.
What's your number one tips, or let's say public speaking tips for people listening to this who probably are looking at, doing public speaking, or who are already doing a little bit here and there but would like to improve on that? Like, if you have to just say one of the biggest, tip, or let's say, learning that you have had.
My biggest learning, I already touched upon this, during public speaking mastery. I am going a bit deeper with this. I will elaborate. I think, if it is in my power, I'll make Vipassana mandatory for every trainer. Speaking is all about becoming present. It's, when we speak, we breathe out and breathe in. So speaking is breathing. If you hold your hand, next to your mouth when you're speaking, I'm not sorry, I won't do this because of your recording. Yeah. So you can see, the air is pumping in and out.
Yeah.
So speaking is breathing, is becoming present. And the only thing I would say, you can take everything away, the whole template, the whole enrolling question, demand a response, state changer, all that stuff, the music, the lighting. The biggest thing you got to have as a speaker or a trainer is presence. Be in the moment for the moment. If you take the presence away, everything will be doomed. You can do all the great things people have taught you and still not be so effective as a trainer. So I would say, presence, be in the moment. And see, we all speak, Vijay, we all speak. It's only when we go in front of people, we become conscious. So we can stay who we are, even on stage, and let people see through the beauty you have inside you. It will come, I think, a lot by being present. So it's your presence, be in the room with the people in that moment. Let go of every other thought, every other work, every other thing, every other commitment, every other worry maybe, and just flow, in that moment with your audience and have a great time. So presence, my friend, biggest.
What's the one achievement of yours that you are most proud of today?
Well, I believe that this is, again, some of my trainer friends, they call me, and especially Sidra.
Yeah.
She's the one who started this. Again, Tony taught me to be who I am. He taught me to love myself for the person I am. But then you can't help but, get branded, with names. So I think one of the biggest achievement, is to be called as the Indian version of Tony Robbins. I think it's a huge honor. It's a huge, huge honor, for a taxi driver's son to have that kind of tagline. People say, oh, you are the Indian version of Tony Robbins. And then put my name, next side with people like Success Resources, a company like Success Resources, and Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Joel Bauer, T. Harbecker, Dan Locke. These have been some of my mentors. I've shared the stage with these people. It's been a phenomenal journey. I think, that's the most proud moment, for a taxi driver's son to say, you know what, I work alongside with Tony, and I'm a business partner for Success Resources. It's an immense, immense achievement.
Now it's time for the enlightening round. Are you excited for this one?
Oh yeah, of course. Why not? Bring it on.
So you have been inspiring a lot of people, talking across the globe and changing lives of the people. What inspires you to do everything that you do?
I think what inspires me is my pain, is my struggle, to be myself. My biggest why is to reach out to every single Amandeep in whatever form and shape, in whatever country they are in, and shake them up and give them NLP, EFT, hypnosis, games, simulation, exercises, empowerment, motivation, whatever you will name it, right? Put them all inside their head and say, you know what, you can be and do whatever you want to do. So that's my biggest inspiration. That my pain of what I felt, I don't want others to feel, about that pain, and become whoever they want to be. Make them see possibility in life.
Which one daily habit of yours do you think has been game changer for you in your success journey?
Vijay, I think, this I learned now that this is a technique. I still don't know how it came, inside me. My biggest strength, would be gratitude. In our language, we call it shukrana. I've been grateful, in my life about many, many things. I still remember almost 20 years back, maybe, or maybe 15 years back, when I went to the first nightclub in my life and I saw people, spending so much of money in one go. I sat there, and I said, I'm very grateful for my life, and everything around me. It is such a blessing to be able to come from that humble background and, experience life in a different way. So coming back, I think, gratitude is one of the biggest gift I've got from God.
Could you share a book or two that has influenced you the most in your life? you have shared about the two books that, where your whole personal transformation journey started from. But are there any book that has influenced you in the recent past?
Well, the two books which comes in my mind, one is the Breakthrough Experience from Dr. John D. Martini.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I am a little deeper person. So there's this book, a lady wrote from Mumbai who lost her two sons. If I'm not wrong, it's something called the law of the spirit world. Yeah, she talks about souls and all that stuff. And on the same lines, I know you asked for two, but it's on the same line as many lives, many masters. So I know I've lived a few lives before.
Yeah.
And I don't plan to come back, but I don't know.
So, Aman, if you have to start this success journey all over again, what are those three things that you think you would have done differently?
I would suggest, I think I would have started the personal development journey earlier, probably at 12. Would have done Tony by 16. Would have done Joel Barber by 20. Would have done Dialogue by 21, and the fire instructor training by 22. And I'm done. Like I was sitting with my team the other day after the event, and I said, if you had a genie and you could have one wish, be fulfilled, what that would be. Yeah, they came up with their cars and houses. I understand. I said, you know what? I would like to be 20 years younger and have the same wisdom I have now. So yeah, start early on this learning process.
All right, I have one last question to ask to you, Aman. But before I ask you that question, I'm sure people listening to you have been inspired by your journey, and they would start, they would probably, after listening to this, start believing in their own dreams. So if they would like to reach out to you, connect to you, and learn more about you, what would be the best possible way?
Well, they can visit my website, which is on my name, Amandeep Thind. My surname is Thind, which is Tango, Hotel, India, November, Delta, amandeepthind.in. Or they can just type in, Amandeep on Google, and I'm sure, my LinkedIn, my Facebook, my Instagram, my Twitter profile will come out. Having said that, I think, when you virtually see somebody, you get some glimpses of who they are, like the pictures and maybe a couple of videos here and there. I would suggest if you really want to get to know me, then come and spend, a couple of hours with me at one of my live events. I keep saying this, that an experience is something you cannot experience without experiencing it. So come and experience, a couple of hours of empowerment, motivation, inspiration with me at one of my events. Like I'm doing, the Success Mastery this Saturday with Firework. And then I will have other future events lined up for India, And then if you are in UK, let's say, or some part of other world, you can still find me, and I speak in UK and Europe. Come and spend a day with me or a couple of hours. I believe, you will get to know me a bit better, and obviously you will leave inspired. So social media would be a quick platform to find me, and the best way to find me a bit more would be to come and spend a couple of hours with me.
Here's the last question for you. Imagine that you are standing on this stage, and this is the largest stage or stadium that has ever been built in the history of the world. And there are millions and millions of people on that stadium. And you are there on stage, and these people are eagerly and passionately waiting to listen to you. And you have been given only 1 minute of the time to share the most important lesson that you have learned in your life. What would be your message?
My biggest message to everybody would be, to fall in love with the person they are. Be madly, deeply in love for the person you are, because you were sent, from God to be the person you are. There's nothing missing in your life. You're absolutely beautiful, perfect, and amazing in the way you are. So be in unconditional love for the person you are. Be your biggest fan, because if you're not your biggest fan, you cannot expect your friends, your family, your parents, your peer group to believe in them. You got to believe in it to begin with. So, my friend, love yourself for who you are.
Be your biggest fan. It has been phenomenal. Thank you so much for being on the show, Aman.
Pleasure, Thank you for having me today.
Hey friend, thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Inspiring Talk. I hope you got some inspiration or learned something about loving yourself. If you did, make sure to share this message with your friends by visiting the show notes page at theinspiringtalk.com/74. To connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram @Bijay Speaks, and let me know what you think about this show. Thank you for listening. I'll catch you in the next. Now, go out there and do something inspiring.